I wrote the story. I wrote it as a short story last summer, so about a year and a half ago, roughly. And it's a story I've always sort of had bopping around in my head. It's loosely based, maybe a little bit on my own childhood. I'm not going to say how much, but it's definitely inspired by an experience I had when I was a child. A lot of kids see themselves differently. And so I remember when I was 9 or 10 years old, I remember questioning why we identified ourselves as white or black or Asian. And I, at some point, decided that I was no longer white and that I was Asian. And so that sort of inspired this story. As an adult, I sort of thought about, what happens when we question or challenge the constructs of race. So at its core, this is really a story about a boy who everybody else sees as white but says that he's not white. And instead of always thinking about minorities feeling some, ridiculous pressure to try to conform to the majority, this is more of a question of what happens when somebody in the majority feels that they don't fit in to the majority.
I think one of the most powerful things anyone can ever experience is being a minority, especially for, white Anglo-Saxon Americans, to be in a community, and I have experienced that, and it's really important, I think, for everyone to feel that. Now, how did you connect with Sarah? Because Sarah was the director, and I want to know how this relationship started with you guys, wanting to make this together.
Yeah. I've known Sarah for at least 10 years, and I was in graduate school in New York getting my MFA in playwriting, actually, and Sarah was working at As the World Turns, the legendary soap opera from CBS. We were encouraged to explore careers writing in daytime or whatever, so I had a teacher that got us to go spend time at As the World Turns or whatever, and Sarah was working there, and she graciously was shown the responsibility of showing us around. So Sarah and I connected, became friends, and at that point, once we became friends, we started realizing we had a lot of similar taste in storytelling and started writing scripts together. And for many years, we would just sort of bounce ideas off each other, work on projects, work on ideas, and we did a couple small things, but last summer I wrote the story and Sarah read it and was like, this is the one, let's do this, let's tell it.
Okay, so when you read this story, did you already have it kind of storyboarded in your mind? Did you know, I have to make this? And can you tell us a little bit about the journey, taking it from your story to, because you kind of adapted it. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. As soon as he told me the story, I knew, I liked, first of all, that it was in one location. It was producible. Mm-hmm. And second, that this kid was expressing some feelings, but he wasn't expressing it in the normal way. He as a child, you don't always understand what you're saying. And so he has this crush on this little boy, but he expresses it in a different way. And to me, that felt really real to childhood. And I remember as a kid feeling confused 90% of the time. Yeah. So I really related to that idea. So that was kind of it.
Yeah, we just kind of don't grow out of that, do we? Hopefully a little bit. Maybe 85% confused. Yeah. So when you were making this story, who did you want to see it? Did you want kids to be able to see this and really identify? Did you want adults to say, oh my God, yes, I get it. Can you tell us about who you were making this for?
Go ahead.
I think we were making it more for adults. Yeah. Because there's a lot of references that, first of all, it's set in the 80s, so people our age kind of get those references. And there's some maybe slightly more adult jokes that are kind of geared more towards the adults. But hopefully the kids can see it and relate to it on some level.
And I would just add, too, that children or adults aside, I think for me, at least when I wrote this, and then when we started to develop and produce it, in my mind, I was sort of reaching out to people who might identify not in a majority category, might identify in sort of underrepresented category, and at some point in their lives have felt sort of, I don't want to say oppressed, but just felt different, and could relate to a story where somebody steps outside the box to take a stand on, who they are and how they feel different.
What have the stories been that you've heard? Have people said, oh my God, that's me, or thank you so much? Can you tell us a little bit about the feedback you've gotten from people?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say this has been a great year because I think everyone's really excited about marriage equality passing in June federally. That's a major step in the struggle. And so in terms of this story, there's a definite tie in there, and that's been awesome to behold. In terms of racial equality, we still have a long way to go, but we're seeing a conversation emerging about that. In terms of who's responding and what they're saying, one anecdote that I can think of that's interesting to me is that people that I would never expect are coming up to me after each screening and saying, "You have no idea, every time I take those standardized tests when I was a kid," and it would say, because the core moment in this story is he's faced with this test where he has to fill in if he's white, black, Asian, Pacific Islander, all these different choices. So everyone sort of says, "Oh my God, I never realized until I saw this," or it made me think that I never really fit in any of those boxes either. And why do we have to label ourselves? So for me, seeing a wide array of people, men, women, all ages, all racial backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, sexual orientations, share that common experience and say, yeah, I've definitely experienced not feeling like I fit into one neat box. That's been a really cool experience to see that it's a common reaction.
It feels like, as a filmmaker, there can be nothing greater than having even just one audience member say, yes. So congratulations for that. We're really, really excited to have this film here. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys get to see it. Yeah.
Can we just say, I think we want to say that Twin Cities Film Festival has been an amazing experience. You guys run an amazing, amazing production. And of all the festivals we've been to, it's been one of the best. And we're honored to be here and thankful. So thank you.